Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you for subscribing. It's October 8, 2025, and it's early evening. And it's taken me a while. I wanted to discuss a video that I watched this morning by Professor Sam Vaknin, Professor of Psychology. The video was called The Cesspool Covert Narcissist Victimhood Sadism. And of course my little ears perked up and I had to watch it. And I took some notes, and then I wanted to share some of this information with you as it applies not only to a narcissist, but obviously the perpetrators that are perpetrating crimes against us, whether it's the middleman, your local government, your neighbors, paid for hire people, InfraGard, the FBI, any intel agencies that are involved in this, that are covering up what's happening to us, gaslighting, stonewalling, information, etc. For the most part, they are personality disordered. They are narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, and at the very least, are engaging in psychological abuse tactics against you and I. Okay, so according to Professor Vaknin, all narcissists are sadists. They possess malicious envy, jealousy, and rivalry. He actually calls it seething rivalry, bitter resentment, and they're passive-aggressive. He referenced a study in Italy about fulminating envy and other negative effects. He considered that sadism is a mental health disorder. But according to the DSM's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Psychology, it was once considered to be a personality disorder, and that's what I learned because I studied personality disorders. And now it's actually considered a mental health disorder. And honestly, guys, I cannot stand that term mental health disorder because it encompasses too many things, and it's basically tied to defects in the personality when the personality was developing. So I do not agree with the DSM. But that's me. So anyway, there are sadistic elements and behaviors that exist in all narcissists. There's the dark triad, the Machiavellianism, they're highly manipulative, the psychopaths. They're highly sadistic. He considered them to be control freaking. He said they are complete control addicts. They want to control everything. And anything that threatens their sense of self, threatens who they are, they want to inflict pain upon that individual. Now, the individual, the victim usually, may be completely clueless that they even offended the narcissist. But it doesn't take much, because all it takes is you doing something better than them, receiving attention that they didn't receive, succeeding in an area that they didn't. Sort of like in Manalapan, New Jersey, when I was the only feral cat colony that was registered with the town, with the state, literally. Because most feral cat people, they call them community cats, as if the community is going to take care, feed them and vet them and everything. That is total BS, to promote the TNR, Trap, Neuter, Return movement. That was formulated by a couple of feral cat cartel national groups. We won't go there, because that's a long diatribe you don't want to listen to. But anyway, make no mistake, at the very top of the feral cat cartel are malignant narcissists, highly manipulative, highly envious, highly jealous, and will inflict pain upon anybody who remotely competes with their narrative. So let me check my notes. I've got it on 2 pages here. So now, basically, they all possess very negative emotions. So for instance, when you receive attention, I receive attention. When targeted people receive attention and success, when we succeed in something, that competes within their BS. So it could be one of the reasons why you've actually been placed in the program. Because of a narcissist like the Urban Hillbilly's testimony, that he was able to trace it back to a junior high school narcissist bully who pretty much followed him throughout his entire life. And it turned out that almost everyone in his path, something negative happened to them. So he had to detach from this person, even though he was a childhood friend. But obviously this person who's been following him around, it was seething. He wanted to compete with this man and take him down. And these narcissists feel elated when you fail. They are maliciously envious. They will compare themselves unfavorably with others and take that out on the person who is successful. And this is what we've been discussing in my videos on workplace mobbing. Right? It's usually the employee that is on time, that does exceptional work, that is conscientious, wants to work with others, that's targeted or mobbed in the workplace, because usually management feels threatened. They can't keep up. So I wanted a little bit more information rather than play the clips from Professor Vaknin's video. So I went to my dear ChatGPT and I said, could you tell me about malicious envy, seething resentment, and narcissistic jealousy, and competitiveness with others to the point of inflicting sadistic cruelty? Chat says, well, those 3 concepts, malicious envy, seething resentment, and narcissistic jealousy, competitiveness, often overlap in the psychology of individuals who feel threatened by the success of others, their independence or happiness. And have you noticed who the targeted people are? We're the successful people who have lived alone. We are the women that divorced our exes and were still able to strive. And this upsets the powers that be. They feel threatened by our success or independence or happiness. So here's how they differ and how they can combine into patterns of cruelty or, and the chat uses this word, targeted hostility. ChatGPT knows what's going on. They know what day of the week it is. So here we go, malicious envy. This is the dark side of envy. The definition is, malicious envy occurs when someone resents another person's success or qualities so deeply they wish to bring that person down rather than rise themselves up. And this happens within families too, by the way. The emotional tone, there's bitterness, humiliation, inferiority, and hostility. The behavioral signs are, here you go guys, gossiping, undermining, sabotaging, spreading false narratives to damage the target's reputation. And this is the slander campaign that happens in all the communities. Like, you know how they went to the local veterinarian, slandered my name, my cat rescue's name, to not give me an appointment when they were dumping pregnant cats on my property. And the veterinarian, the unprofessional veterinarian, caught, recorded, says, I'm not going to give you an appointment because you're not friends with my friends and I don't get you. Yeah, so they undermine, sabotage by spreading false narratives to damage the target's reputation. The motivation? They want to remove the source of discomfort for them because the person who reminds them of their inadequacy or failure causes resentment and anger and fury. They are furious. Which brings us to the next one. Seething resentment. Seething. You know, like boiling over. Seething. Ruminating. The definition is, this is the long-term emotional fuel behind ongoing hostility. Chronic anger and bitterness over perceived unfairness, rejection, or power imbalance. How does it form? When someone feels ignored, overshadowed, or treated unjustly, but just lacks the self-awareness or maturity to process those feelings. And we all know that the... my rooster's on patrol. We all know that these losers are very immature. I mean, it's demonstrated in the kind of things that they do. You know, leaving a bag of poopy diapers in front of your mailbox, stuffing dead animals, dildos and stuff. I mean, these are like little teenage pranks, right? You wouldn't expect these from adults, would you? But not when you're dealing with malignant narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths, sadists. They're passive-aggressive. They have revenge fantasies. They're vindictively gossiping. They have hidden attempts to cause distress. And the psychological effect is, this person, the narcissist, often feels justified in harming others. They see themselves as the wrong person. Then, of course, there's the narcissistic jealousy and competitiveness. These traits appear in people with narcissistic or anti-social tendencies. The definition is, narcissistic jealousy occurs when a person sees someone else's happiness, beauty, intelligence, or freedom as an existential threat to their own ego or self-image. Like all the married women around here that are stuck with their loser husbands, you know? And then they see like a single woman come in and buy property and stuff, and could you imagine how pissed off they are that they couldn't do it? They couldn't even buy the property back in 2019 with their husbands or their families. They were telling everybody it was too expensive. The manifestations: extreme competitiveness over superficial or moral traits, triangulation, turning others against the target. The smear campaigns or public humiliation to prove that they're superior. They copy, mimic, or one-up to reassert their dominance. The underlying cause, though, is they're deeply insecure. They have a fear of inferiority, and there is a lack of authentic self-worth. So this is who they are deep down, and it is a projection onto the target. Okay? So now here comes the sadistic cruelty and targeting. When malicious envy and narcissism mixed, the behavior can turn sadistic. The person only gains emotional satisfaction from seeing others hurt. And some of the traits that these criminals possess are, they dehumanize the target, claiming they deserved it. The gaslighting and manipulation to destabilize the target's confidence. There are covert acts of humiliation or social sabotage. And of course, there are the overt ones too, that obviously. The goal is to feel powerful and control, morally superior by dominating or punishing others who trigger their envy. So why do they do it? They perceive others' success as a personal insult. So if you're smiling and happy, you're insulting the narcissist. If you're successful, you're insulting them. If you have more than they do, you're insulting them. If you're successful, you're insulting them. They lack empathy, and they don't experience remorse. They use domination as a form of self-validation. And in some cases, this behavior is reinforced by social hierarchies, peer validation, or group dynamics that reward cruelty. Like here in Jackson County, Kentucky, obviously, cruelty is being rewarded, like leaving skinned dead animals in my mailbox, a double-sided dildo in the mailbox, dead animals on the driveway, breaking into my cat's nonprofit building, and harming the eyes of the kittens, resulting in 3 of them passing. And then when you report it to the sheriff's department, they lie. Even when you've recorded the phone call, they still lie. So yes, this is what happens. So these criminals, these gang stalkers that are targeting you and I, and likely other targets, definitely in the state of Kentucky. I mean, I've heard from so many people in Kentucky, but probably even in my own town. There could be other people that they're targeting right here in my town. I just don't know. I don't know who they are. But if they perceive that other people are more successful, more attractive, healthier, that's a personal insult to these people. And of course, the men are, I don't know, I think it's just absolutely unthinkable that men, grown men, target women. I mean, I've experienced women in my past being envious and jealous, including my cousin, which I will do a video on my cousin. I have to get my thoughts together on that because it's going to be long. It's a little emotional. It's a little traumatic. It's upsetting. It involves my mother. I believe my cousin was a handler of my mother. But we'll go into that another time. But these people perceive all of this about you as a threat to them. It's a threat, but because they are part of a group, they feel validated by their peers, by the local Freemasons, by the local government that supports their criminal behaviors. So anyway, if you feel that there's a dose of sadism in your targeting, please leave a comment down below. I appreciate your listening. And remember that most of these people have unresolved negative emotions. And these unresolved negative emotions are being projected on the target because your successes highlights blaringly what they have not succeeded in their own lives. They feel elated when you fail. There's malicious envy. And they compare themselves to you and hate themselves. And that's why you're targeted. That's why the GOV selects these people to target you, because they do go into communities and they scan the communities for the narcissists because they want those people to work with them. They know that they will because it appeals to their ego. It appeals to their sadistic personality traits. So anyway, leave a comment down below. And I will talk to you guys soon. I hope everybody's doing well. And I want to show you this adorable little mini art. This is an original. I think it's really cute. You know, little mouse is cutting the cat's hair. And this is a certificate of authenticity by Anita Ware. Grooming time for kitty. Okay, so I just want to show you that. It's really adorable. And I will talk to you guys soon.